Hello, everyone. Corrie here doing my monthly for July channeled message. And if you're wondering where all of the each and individual ones are right now, I am not doing them. I may be going back to them, but I'm just trying to, you know, put my energy and my focus where it will be of service most. And so I am really working on trying to get things out to you. So I'm trying to get these cards out. I'm trying to get the books out. We're trying to finish up a lot of things. So there's a lot of things in the works and also some recordings to offer out some more classes that'll be available. That is also coming up, and some meditations. So excuse the look today. I had a little moment this morning of looking into the reflection of the rain instead of looking into the reflection of me. And I looked into the rain and I'm like, is it ever going to stop raining? And why is this rain bothering me so much? And it's not the rain. It's the fact that with the barometric pressure, the change, my body's feeling the effects of it. And so it's actually, I am hurting. So the honest to God truth is not that I didn't like the rain or the rain's such a, is the big inconvenience is the fact that I acknowledge my true feelings. I have hurt. And so the pain is real. And so in that real pain, I have to really nurture that sense of self. That's a big part of the message for July, is really looking into there. I have this, and it's massive. I'm like, okay, so this is the freakiest of things. So I created the second book, and it's my truth beyond the reflection. And as this book is now coming out, we're also being able to know that it's also being released around the same time. There's like the big observer things being released. So what's coming up in the energy is that what's happening out there happens within us. There is a big shift that's happening, and we're going to feel the shift. And a lot of the things that, we were told we were crazy, we're out there, you're going to start finding out there's a lot of truth behind the things that we know, we feel, because as from the time of a child and not being able to retain information as it was being taught or given to me, is that I would go and ask higher consciousness. I would ask the consciousness. I'm like, give me the wisdom, give me what I need so that I don't be laughed at, so I don't be made fun of. And so I was accessing parts that are outside of the ability to be able to humanly connect and connect out larger. And so that sense of knowing, of trusting that knowing without knowing, really truly became the ability to trust the world outside of myself that is not even of this world. But I had a lot of trust issues with the world itself, because there's a lot that I'd witnessed, and I'm like, that just like, the things that you say are morally correct just don't feel very moral, because it's a lot of hurt behind it. There's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of criticism. So there's been a lot of those things that really truly I've questioned over the years. And so here we are, and we have this energy, and I just spoke about this on Instagram, my first big Instagram live. After all the years that I've been live everywhere else and doing all of my other work, is I finally broke down and said, okay, I will try the Instagram live. We'll see how it goes. But so the energy, let's get back to the energy. See, it is a shift. We are seeing as if the mirror is turned around. So all that was projected either onto you or another projects onto you, or that the world has been projecting onto you. It's the mirror is coming back around. We're looking at ourselves. We're being told to look really deep at ourselves. The only place that is the biggest priority to bring the changes within ourselves. And when we all make the changes we need to make, when we clean up our own energy, when we clean up all the little lies we tell to ourselves or any of the old beliefs, is that we truly then gain clarity. Only when we get clear can we see. In my second book, I speak about dusting the mirror and seeing that self, and a tear falling and connecting to that self. So, and then I could really truly start to see deep within, and being able to see deep within, being able to look deep within, being able to go within, allowed me to look at my own, my responsibility, what I was doing. So taking ownership and responsibility for my own behavior, for my own actions, for my limits that I placed upon myself, for that sense of self that that you didn't really know about yourself, like those connections that you didn't even know you had, or the gifts you didn't know you had. Things start to come to life, but also that whole sense of how we want how sometimes we may want everyone in our lives to do things how we want them to do them. Why? Because it creates comfort so that we are not made uncomfortable. And so we are really truly in that sense of we need to be uncomfortable because there's major dismantling. We also have the sense of that big mirror. So I keep seeing a mirror turning and a reflection of a mirror. I'm like, and I think that big mirror also is the essence of what is happening out there in the universe, what's happening out there in space, what's happening out there with turning on, all of this big energy that's now going to be like this new observer energy. Like, I don't know. It's just technology has really truly become kind of a god in itself, and it's false god, right? So but also there's good to it. There's also good to it, and so it also expands the world of which we exist in. So that sense of knowing the world more than what we knew, well, that is happening in the big world. We'll bring that inward to you. So that's also when the mirror turns around and you look into yourself and you look deep in, it becomes like this telescopic view, a kaleidoscope, where it can see the things that you didn't know existed. It sees that sense of darkness, how you may have even made everyone else out to be an enemy, and you discover that you are the enemy to you, that you are doing this to you. And so it is so much of that that's playing out. And that energy is like what lures us away from our light, lures us away from our truth, lures us away from the good things, lures us away, or keeps us chasing that false imposter light in that real world, thinking that's my world, that's my life, that's what's out there, that's what's there. And it's like, that's not all real. That's not all real. What's all real? And so it's like, so we tell ourselves the stories that become the carrots, like dangling carrots in front of us that we can chase, that we can follow, whether it's the good, bad, the ugly. And we're being told to look deeper, stop, pause, reflect, really, truly look deeper. In the weather, in the energy report, I can kind of take the weather with it. We have had like such extremes, and here where I am, there has been so much freaking rain. And it's been raining and raining and raining. So obviously Mother Earth needs the rain. It's obviously serving some sort of purpose. But if the narrative is to be used in the way of saying, well, this serves the purpose of being able to say something about the climate, or this is happening because of what you're doing, like you humans are doing this and you're creating this and you're the problem, and then we fear and we become the problem, instead of thinking, well, Mother Earth may be needing a little extra right now, or she may be on hold back, she may be holding back. There's so many things, and not saying we don't contribute, don't get me wrong, we contribute, we are a contributing factor, but it's like when we take such ownership and responsibility that we are the blame for everything, that we are responsible for that, is that what we're doing is that it is triggering that guilty response. And so we respond from feeling shame or guilt. And we're being told to now, as we allow this mirror to clear and clean out some of this energy for us, is that it exposes a lot of the truth behind some of the bullshit. And then we can get to doing the real stuff. Then we can get to doing the real work for the right reasons, and not because it lines the pockets of some big major corporations. Just saying. And so there is that, and it's how I see it. It's how this is given to me in these, and look at it as to, the whole world might be screaming that you need to do this, you need to do this, and it's like, and my whole body's going, maybe in the future, not right now. There's more to this. Not until they tell me it's go time. And I truly know the power of listening to that body, listening to that inner authority, that bodied self, from a healthy self that is not in survivor mode, that's not in survival mode. Because the moment they tell us that we are, that we have to fear death, we have to fear extinction, we have to fear all of those things. Well, they're all inevitable in whatever way. We will, even if it's just one, will be extinct in our physical form. It's not anything that's unknown or unnew. That's how cycles of life go. So when we're taught that fear, when we are programmed to that fear, then that fear owns us. And we're being told to be empowered doesn't mean that we get feared into being empowered. Is there something greater? And So we have a lot of shift that's happening. We have a lot of change in energies happening. We have a lot. So July will be a shift. And in that mirror reflection, it is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to look at. It's not easy. We break new ground. So we're going to be breaking new ground, going new ways, looking at things in a different way. And we're going to really truly be able to stand up and call out some of the biggest bullshits and some of the things that we have let own us and control us and divide us from each other. Because more than ever, we have been, us light workers, spiritual teachers, mystics channels, we have been speaking the power of numbers, the power of the everyday people to stay together, to stay connected, to not be so triggered to respond, to be out there defending that sense of that strange energy, and to know it within ourselves that we are here to interlock, intertwine, to be that support for each other. And we're not all going to like each other. We're not all going to say the same opinions or the same views or the same beliefs, but that's okay. Is it takes a blended, right? Is what we blend in diversity and love that we allow to bring us into divine purpose. So when we stop wanting the world around us or the people around us to make the changes, to be the one who changes so that we're happy, and we say, no, you know what, I'll just accept that this is where they are, and I'm going to be the change in my own life. I'm going to be the change in my world. I'm going to make the changes that I need to make so that I can live my best life. And that is really truly coming up for us. And you can see that this was some of letting old energy get in this week, letting some of this, I said, you know, it's like the breakout, it was seeing like myself, this ugly self, like, and I don't mean she was ugly. I just mean there was a stage where, you know, I didn't think I was worthy of anything. And I lost a lot of myself in that. And my face became horribly, I all of a sudden developed this horrible cystic acne, rosacea formed. I had big cyst on my face, and it was shame. It was like the face of shame. And I was shaming myself for an experience in my life that, and a choice that I had made. And it's not anything that I hide. I speak about it lots. And I shame myself because all I remembered and all that I held on to was the narrative of somebody judging me, who are so-called calling themselves a good person, walking out from my experience of going through an abortion, and walking out and being this one group standing up and calling me a murderer. And that shame I wore. Now, they did not know that in between all of that experience, there's a lot of things that now I have a whole different perspective and view on, and that I was so afraid, and I was making choices and decisions out of fear instead of out of faith, and knowing that I was strong and I could do it and I was courageous. Now, I don't get to decide for anyone else, and neither do you. And this is where finding who we are in ourselves, nobody can own us, nobody can control us, and nobody can own our thoughts and shame us when we know who we are. I now know the girl who did that. I now know why I did that. I now know me enough to know that I was not the names that they were calling me. And that sense of them reflecting their anger, projecting it up on me, that was their story. That was for them. That was them to not have to look into their own mirror at their own stories, at their own narratives. It was feeding their anger, feeding the monster within. When I walked out of there, if you were truly, if that person's ever listening, if you were truly ever that loving, good, caring person that you so proclaim to be, you would have hugged me. You would have showed kindness instead of more hate. I hated on myself enough. I already didn't like myself enough. I didn't need anything else to shame me. So in the past few weeks, with all things happening, I found myself returning to a shame story. A lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. A lot of reflecting that, oh my God, I need to be, no, I need to be with me. I know my contentment. I know my inner peace. I have a story to share. I have much that I can share, and I happily would share it, and a whole new perspective, and many things that were right and wrong, many things that could have been done different by all sides. And so there is a lot of things of where we can be a change, where we can make the change, where there can be changes that happen in our world, but those changes start within us and making those changes in our own lives. I no longer walk of shame. I walk with my head held high, knowing that I was an imposter to myself, knowing that I didn't even know who I was, and that I was still living in a lot of fear, a lot of hurt, and untruth. That wasn't really me. And in that reflection and in finding me, I remember the woman at the end of that story. And I remember the strength and courage she had to stand back up, go back to work in a day or so, go back to work and face some judgment at the job based on the fact that she had just cut her hair. So I had just cut my hair. My mother cut my hair. I didn't even go get my hair cut. And the judgment was that I actually had gone to the city to get my hair cut by somebody else, and that I was kind of, I didn't want to tell the girls in the shop that I got my hair cut by somebody else. No, I was in such shame that I literally, my mother said, "You look like a mess." And I allowed her to cut my hair off, and I love my mother. And she was not a hairdresser. That was the right. And so, but she cut my hair off. And that's when I grieve, I do cut my hair. And so my hair was very short when I returned to work. So I had the judgment, and I was trying to explain myself of, no, my mother cut my hair. That's not why I was in the city. And I didn't want to share why I was in the city. I was walking in enough shame, enough hurt, enough guilt, enough everything, but I was still standing, and I still went back to work. I still stood behind the chair. I still was a mother. I still was a mom to my child at home. I was trying to do the best for the one child that I did have, and have the energy to be the mother that I needed to be. And that's a truth, right? And that's a truth. She needed me, and I didn't have enough gas in my tank to be enough for anything or any more else. And so those choices and those decisions were made from a place of where I didn't know of where and how. I couldn't hear the support. I couldn't hear the love. I couldn't hear any of that because I was judging myself so much. And so that sense of the narratives that we push and the judgment we place, we don't know. We don't know. And so in this deep mirror reflection that we are being told, in the shifts that are happening, and becoming such an observer of the experience, and I don't have a need or desire to step up and get out, and I'm going to walk my way. And I'm going to walk in, standing in the light, standing tall, and keep walking towards the light and trusting what feels right for me. Not the narrative that I look like a woman, I am a woman, I am, or a woman who can reproduce and have that. And I know my God-given right. I know who I am, and nobody can take that sense of self, no matter how much you try to guilt me, shame me. I will not walk a shame path to get to anywhere that pleases somebody else anymore. And that is my hope. More Than Existing was created so that I could guide people through my stories, my experiences, or through what I know in becoming that coach, so that I could be there for people and just say, you know what, you're welcome in my circle. You're welcome into this group. You're welcome here without judgment. For whatever choices and decisions you make, they're yours to make. Thou shalt not judge, right? And that, and for you to be able to strengthen your ability to look at all sides, to perceive things differently, gain new perspectives, to know that your core values, not the core values of the people who walk before you, to create your own code of ethics, what aligns to you and what feels right to you. And for you to trust the feeling in your body and be guided by the feeling in your body, not by just your heart, because your heart ties to those emotions as well. And to just know that sometimes we got to do the hard things. And sometimes the hard things may appear to be not very nice, or not, not morally right for somebody else, but they are morally right for ourselves. And that we have to do the things that we need to do. And it takes a strong person. And so remembering the person at the end of every difficult situation and what it took to have to make your difficult choices, that's where your truth is. You arrived with that truth, and that truth is at the end of those difficult situations. And that is the truth. Like, that is observing now and looking back. And when that mirror was turned around for me to make the shifts and changes in my life, that's what I started to discover. And I have spent now several months really, truly in an energy of feeling like I just want to walk away. I have been tainted. I have felt jaded. by how we treat each other as humans, how the human race can turn against each other, turn your backs on each other, treat each other like garbage and shit, talk down to each other. As a spiritual person who really truly has lived this since childhood, as knowing and walking with Jesus and God and all of that energy, I think, how can we crucify each other and justify it? How can we crucify each other and justify it? And it's amazing because, you know, we know the witch story, we know the Jesus story, we know the crucifixion. So if we know it and we feel it in our bodies and our bones, why do we still do it to somebody else? Why do we still do it to somebody else? We do not have that right. We can walk our white walk and fight our fight. We can do whatever. But the moment that you turn somebody else into your enemy and you make them their enemy, you are reflecting your deepest hurts and pains upon them. And those people are people like you. And so anything of that exchange, and then we're able to say, but I'm the good person. No, we're not. We have to be good all the way to the core of us. We have to be of love and light all the way to the core. It is not an a la carte. And it is time for us to look deeper, because we are past that story, that narrative and suppression and in the systems of, you know, if you do this step by step, if you be this, if you be that, then you're the good person. Now, the other person out there, they're the evil, they're the bad, they're the demons, no, they're freaking not. They're another human who may be living differently than you. They may have a different view than you. They may have done things different. They may have approached things differently. Maybe they don't know another way. Maybe it's the only way. And because they have no one to go to, because we don't have the support, we don't have a place of non-judgment, we don't know. So we find things that look just like a place that is of non-judgment, that says, come on in, I'll take care of you. It's like Hansel and Gretel. It is like the little witch used to come in, I have candy for you. Appears to be sweet, appears to going to fix you, appears to going to give you your dream life, to give your life back. But there's more to the story. Well, that shit is happening everywhere, right? And that narrative is everywhere. We have an inner authority, we have an inner guidance, we have all of that. And strengthening and growing and knowing that sense of who we are. It's like, here, I have a pill for that, right? It's like that energy, knowing our truth, knowing who we are. We will know us when we look only into our own reflection. We become an observer of our own behavior, our own actions, our own stories, and the way that we behave, the way that we respond. And we take ownership, responsibility, and accountability for that. And then we remember the self that had to do some hard things themselves, and that we've all done things that may be out of character or may feel out of character, but we've had to do what needed to be done. And as we start to restore and return, we start to see dismantling. We are going to see corruption exposed. We're going to see a lot of things that have been sold to us. I mean, look at the Epstein story. Where's all the stories behind that? Where's all of those so-called people that were in those books? And those same people that may be in those books are maybe the same people that are selling you the Kool-Aid about how your neighbor, how your people are such horrible people. Think about that. And I don't get to pass judgment even on those people, because what it is what we know. We become what we know. We become the thoughts, everything that comes into from imagination to reality. But I think the whole world is going to get some wake-up call. We are going to see something that's going to either erupt underground, break down, fall apart, but we're going to see a dismantling of a lot of things. And we're going to find out just how bad we all need each other on that scale of being the everyday human, being support, being love, and coming together, because too many people have tried to play God for too long. I tried to play God in my own life until I allowed God to teach me. And whatever God means to you, allowed the God consciousness. There's a consciousness outside of ourselves to guide me into recognizing, seeing who I really was, a truth that was unknown to me, how many lies and half-assed truth and so-called good intentions that I believed were those truths. Once I knew my value, my worth, I found my sense of inner peace, found that sense of contentment. Could I move forward? And I am just now starting to move forward after all of these years in a new way, a new light, and with a trust and faith of the love that channels through and the divine guidance that channels through, and the ability to be able to share those stories, share those experiences, and not have so many opinions, but have a knowing that there's so many things to look at in every situation. But most of all, to see yourself at the end of each and every story, to know that these shifts are happening, to see what it takes to turn around and say, I'm sorry, apologize, forgiveness, whatever it may be, to be able to turn around and face the hard things, to look at ourselves, to look deeper, and to be able to say, I'm going to do better, I'm going to be better, and I'm going to be the best version of me that I can be. Because that's where kindness starts. Show ourselves kindness, compassion, kindness, those things, but kindness and the kind of love that we need is the things that will change the world. But we got to be that within ourselves first. So July has much of that. That brings in a big shift of energy, a big shift. And I just feel like the sun is going to shine. There's so much more sunshine. Not if I'm looking at if I look at my weather report, it's rain for the next 2 weeks. It's all it's been is rain. But there has been sunshine in there. But if all you see is rain and all you see is the gloomy weather, you'll forget the moments of where the sun was shining. We have to now remember where the sun was shining, when the sun was shining, how it was shining, and that how it felt to be in the sunshine. And that's what we're going to keep reaching for, more and more of what that sunshine is, and not to put our focus into everything that is in the gloom, in the doom, but more in the sunshine. Then we will not be so quick to fall victim to the narrative of the fear that we are fed. Much love. Have a beautiful month, and I will see you all again. Well, you see many more videos, but I'll see you soon. But on the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness right now, mteacademy.ca, we have a big summer extravaganza on a whole bunch of courses that are available that are 60% off. Plus, we have a whole bunch of free classes and stuff that are in there, meditations that you can take advantage of if you want to do something in the summer for you. So take advantage of that. Also, my second book, I don't have a copy yet. This is My Truth of Existing Beyond the Reflection. That is coming out in a paper copy in the next few weeks. But for right now, you can download the Kindle version on Amazon, all Amazons, and that is now available. So much love. Have a beautiful day. And now I'm going to go try to get the rest of the card book finished up. Much love. Bye-bye.